there were really and truly lots of good days. And sometimes we would define good days differently. I think my kids might define a good day one way. And for me, it might be just those moments that I connected to their hearts.
You have 17 years of homeschooling under you. You homeschooled 3 kids. Talk about what some of the good things are as you look back and have a different perspective now from a grandmother's point of view. What are some of the things that you did right that kind of helped with the good part of homeschooling?
Sure. Well, first, let me say there's no perfect homeschool. And I know that's stating the obvious, but let's just say it anyway. But I will say there were really and truly lots of good days. And sometimes we would define good days differently. I think my kids might define a good day one way. And for me, it might be just those moments that I connected to their hearts, where I'm thinking to myself, had they been in a traditional classroom, I would have missed that or this or what have you. So, we all might define success differently. But I will say that there's a few things I think I did right that perhaps contributed. Number one, this sounds kind of silly, but number one is homeschool at home. You wouldn't think I'd have to say that, but there are so much opportunities, especially for today's homeschool parent, that you could find yourself at co-ops and in clubs and at events in the car, like a lot. And it's not that those are bad things, but I think we do need to choose those outside activities wisely, because some of the beauty truly is being at home. It might be that you are homeschooling in your pajamas, but there's a level of intimacy that only the home provides. So I don't want people to forget about that and just, look for everything else but being home. That meant that Monday through Thursday, we probably carved out 4 to 6 hours to be home. Friday, maybe co-op and activities and stuff like that, but we did try to carve out during the week. Number 2, I highly recommend that you choose a school name, perhaps a motto. And now keep in mind that we started homeschooling way back in the late 1980s and we were pioneers. And so I found that with so many people back then who didn't have a clue what homeschooling was, that it was important that we named our homeschool because it was a real entity. It just helped people treat it more seriously. So we called ours Wimberley Hills Homeschool. It was sort of a tie-in of our where my husband and I honeymooned. And then our motto for school was Proverbs 1:7. That's the one that says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction." So feel free to borrow that. I didn't coin it. That's a proverb.
You didn't coin the Proverbs.
Didn't coin that proverb. Number 3, and here's one that it took me a while to arrive at. But if you lean toward lesson plans, or you don't lean toward lesson plans, or you're even conjuring the idea that one day you might have lesson plans, whenever you do them, keep them undated. Keep them date-free if possible. And I say that because, let me just tell you, Yvette, I started as a loosey-goosey homeschool mom that did no lesson plans. And honestly, that worked great for years when they were little. I wrote down what we did after we did it. Well, that's not lesson planning. That was record keeping. I was good at it. And then as my children grew, when my oldest was in middle school and I realized she truly needed more structure, I started making real lesson plans where I wrote down what I wanted to do before we did it. But the reality is that my first set were too strict. They were too binding because, well, what if somebody had 103 fever that day? Or what if a spontaneous field trip came up? Or what if I forgot a holiday or whatever? There's lots of things that come up that throw us off of those strict dates. So one day, now this was back in the day when they sold Whiteout. I didn't even know if they sell that anymore, but the product called Whiteout. There was a day I took Whiteout across the top of my lesson planner and took all the dates out. And what I realized is that I literally had a plan. I had an outline, but it wasn't date driven. It was simply more or less, it became kind of like a weekly goal. Like it would be nice if we could do this much in history and this much science and this much math, because, I do have some goals. I want to finish these subjects by the end of the year, but it doesn't have to be this Wednesday.
Homeschool Insights is sponsored by CTC Math. If you're looking for a great online math program, visit ctcmath.com and try it for free. For more great homeschool inspiration and resources, listen to the Schoolhouse Rocked podcast every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.